Hello, everybody, and welcome to Enjoy the Show. I'm so glad you're all here, all of you people listening in on the chat room and listening and otherwise. We're going to have a fun show tonight. We've got Brian Kelly, my absolutely amazing co-host, who's going through some interesting things with his family right now. Welcome, Brian. We've also
Judy, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. We've also got a big Aussie group tonight. We've got Chris Hales. Yay, Chris! Scott and Ken Bartle.
Hi, everybody.
Hey,
Chris, did you just whistle for yourself? Oh, wow.
I whistled for the Australian crowd. I was actually trying to do a Mexican wave, but, it just doesn't come through.
And we've got Scott and Ken Bartle, who are good friends of Chris. This is going to be so much fun. And Lisa Harrison is joining us for the evening, too, and I'm so excited. This is going to be so much fun. We've got a really cool topic tonight that Chris has come up with, and it's about, the difference between, if there is a difference, between joy and laughter. And who knows where it'll go from there. It's only going to be interesting. I know that much. So welcome, Chris. Scott, Ken, Lisa, hi.
And Brad, don't forget Brad Smith.
Oh, that's why I asked you, was there another name? You said no. Hi, Brad Smith.
Hello, everyone. How you going? Good morning, evening.
Good morning, good evening, good whatever time of day it is for everybody. We're all over the world. This is wonderful.
Yeah. Hi, Judy. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Lisa.
There she is.
Welcome.
Hey, Lisa.
Here I am.
Hiding in the background there.
I am. Lurking.
And come out of that closet, Lisa.
Scott and Ken, I want you to get out of that convertible and say good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Hello.
Good morning. Which one am I talking to now? That's a great voice.
You've got Scott here.
Hi, Scott.
Is Ken
He's
about
sounding a bit sexy this morning. What's going on, Scott?
Doesn't he?
Uh-huh.
It's still like sleeping time and it's dark outside, so all things are different.
Does anybody else feel like they're going to get their head bitten off by a kangaroo right now, or is it just me?
I don't
that is
think
the weirdest thing I think I've ever heard. What?
No, he's not wrong. I mean, kangaroos are big animals, and actually they're not the cuddly furry things that were portrayed in Skippy the Bush Kangaroo.
So you seriously
they're quite. No, especially the big ones. The big ones are 5, 6 to 6 foot. Some of them.
Oh, you're bringing me back to that movie from years ago about. Oh, whatever. Yeah, that's not a joke.
Yep. Anyhow, let's leave the kangaroos. We'll leave the kangaroos to graze.
That's not a kangaroo. This is a kangaroo.
This is a kangaroo.
Oh, that's
exactly.
right. That was a dingo. Sorry.
No, I was joking. That was actually a knife. But
anyway, Chris.
Yes.
I would love for you to just kind of introduce your friends and to me and to our audience, and so we can find out what's going on with also your new show that's coming up, and I'm so excited about that. So excited.
There's actually two shows. It's one of the reasons why I've got this big crowd on is because Scott and Brad and myself are doing an AM radio show, which in the United States is on a Saturday morning. For us, it's late on Saturday night, which, we can work that out. But it's actually a really exciting show. It's to an audience that really are just becoming geopolitically aware, so they're not by any means down any kinds of deep rabbit holes. And this was brought around by Brad, who's a friend of the gentleman whose concept this was. And he tried this a couple of years back. It didn't really work because the audience wasn't really ready for it. But he's giving it another shot now, and it is genuinely an AM broadcast audience. It's mainstream. Okay. So it's a bit different to all the other shows we're doing in that it's going out on a different medium, and it's a completely different kind of audience. And as I'll get Brad and Scott to comment on this, we're having to kind of measure everything that we say and be very, very careful about the pace that we lead people through information.
Right.
We've done one show, and it was entirely about the fact that the system got corporatized without us knowing about it. So what I'll do is I'll throw it over to Brad. You can give a little bit more background information on that, Brad, because Brad was the person who made this happen.
Cool, Brad. Go for it.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, look, It was organised through a gentleman over in Carolina, Danny, who's had an illustrious 40-year career in television, and so he knows pretty much most of the people in the mainstream, sort of who's who in the zoo. And yeah, like Chris mentioned, he'd done a few shows a few years ago and talked about some of these topics, and it didn't go down too well because at that time, I don't think, the broadcasting powers that be put the kibosh on it pretty quickly. It does seem though that now the whole industry sort of has moved along, and these verboten subjects are a little bit more free flowing. So it's great that we've got the opportunity to get the message out on a AM broadcast with a view to going to a larger audience again. And I think the producers got back to Danny, Chris, and they absolutely loved the show, and we're looking at maybe getting a drive time spot in prime time AM radio during the week. So very exciting.
That's awesome news.
Yeah,
That's great news.
Long as we don't have to be DJs. Got news from the bottom of the rabbit hole today, folks. DNA being exported off the planet encased in gold. That's a little too deep, that rabbit hole.
Wow.
Wow, it's right.
We won't be talking about that anytime soon. Although I'll get Scott to comment on this too. We actually did manage to get a fair way into the corporatization issue on the first show, so which Scott was very, very pivotal in developing a bit of detail inside. So go for it, Scott.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it was a really good show, actually. It was good fun, and I take your point. It was every word had to be measured to think about your audience and who you were speaking to, and so you didn't go in too much. It was really quite interesting in actually catching yourself and thinking a lot harder before you actually spoke on some of those sort of topics, and then also trying to get the context suitable for the US audience. We've been speaking for however long with Australian audiences and Aussie banks and all that sort of thing, and it's quite easy to talk to. So to actually switch context and talk to a US audience and get the US corporate market sort of covered, if you could call it that, was really quite a challenge. But it was a good show. It was really good fun, and I think next one we'll have another opportunity to probably rephrase what we did on the first one and perhaps bring everyone, get the context right, particularly if we switch time slots again.
Yeah, unfortunately, if we switch time slots, we will have to probably repeat ourselves. But this is kind of a little snakes and ladders exercise, which will lead to a much bigger ladder, which will hopefully keep going straight up as far as the information goes.
Well, I think it's really important that we're doing this, that you're all doing this, that we're all doing this right now. I'm also seeing, new videos coming out, training videos on understanding all the different things going on with this and what we can do and how to see it differently. And I just think that this is absolutely beautiful, and I'm really feeling so incredibly excited because I can really see it rolling out. I see, it's like I see the ashes. I see everything falling down into the ashes around the outside, and these ridiculous, incredible laws that these guys are coming up with that are just like making people stand back and go, "Are you serious? Are you really serious? You think we're going to buy that?"
Each little law is like a mini 9/11.
Yes.
They may think it's getting more control, but it's just waking people up.
Well, I'm not even so sure. Something inside of me says that this is all an elegant dance. Something inside of me says that the more ridiculous, the more absurd these are, the more people go, "Oh my God, what am I even thinking playing their game anymore?" Somehow I think it's actually a brilliant, beautiful dance.
We're being led out of a really potentially nasty position.
Well, I keep saying it's like the womb kicking us out. It's like, it's like I'm done. I don't have anything left to give you, and you want to come back in and decorate, but I'm going to keep cutting things off and making you want to go through the canal. Come on, it's time.
Maybe it's like
push that baby out. Damn it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, when you finish high school, you kind of get graduated, and if you happen to walk into the schoolyard a week later, you kind of think, well, actually, I'm not supposed to be here anymore. You ever had that feeling?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I think the key for me has been, the more obvious it is the more awesome it gets for me, because it's so much more in your face with some of the shenanigans that they're trying to pull. And to me, the key is how you respond to all of it. Are you going to choose to play into all of the drama? There's those in the truth movement. I don't want to throw Alex Jones on the pedestal here, but because I appreciate the work he puts out, because he does raise awareness. But when people pay that really excited energy of, oh my God, doom and gloom, World War III, world's gonna end, you don't need to pay that energy into it. I see it more as like Judy said, like as a dance, something to be excited about. Like the more the shit rolls out, the more I laugh and go, woo, it's coming. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think that goes for anything that you're going through in life, no matter what it is. I mean, here I am. I'm next door to, I'm 25 feet away from my grandmother who's on her deathbed, and she's going through this transition to the other side, to whatever you want to call that, call it heaven, call it another life, whatever it is, whatever name you want to give it. And you can either, in that situation, you can be sad for the loss, which we all are, but the joy overpowers the sadness because the pain and the suffering is ending.
Yeah, I call it the return to non-physical. I recall
it.
Yep,
and we all, and the whole family sees it as a beautiful thing, and that's something that we know is just a part of the process, and so that the stuff that's coming out in the media, you bring whatever you pay whatever energy you choose to pay into it. I choose to not pay drama into any energy. I choose that when drama comes to me, I remove myself from it and watch it as a conscious observer, watching the whole thing playing out without getting tied up into the middle of it all. Because drama is really easy to get sucked into. But you ultimately, each person as an individual has a choice. Do you want to get sucked into the drama, or would you rather remove yourself from it, watch it, observe it, enjoy it? To me, it's just fun. It's like people playing roles and characters playing themselves out. None of it's to judge as right or wrong, or because it's our minds that want to place those kinds of judgments on things. But we can bring joy with us no matter where we go. I'm bringing my party with me everywhere I want to go. If you want to party with me, cool.
Yeah.
Come party. Let's play.
Just be in the same room and there's a party.
Yeah, Party Central 24/7.
Yeah, well, my thesis of Joy versus Laughter is not to try and separate laughter, but to sort of identify. There's an aspect of Australian humour, and it would be roughly classed as irony. It's the ability to laugh at things that are so bad they're just ridiculous. Yeah. Okay, so something really crappy happens, and provided no one's badly injured or killed, most people sort of go, well, that didn't work, did it? And they'll actually have a laugh at it. And as I was telling the guys before the show, as an example, I rushed into the bathroom to brush my teeth. I rushed and grabbed the stuff, turned around to the mirror, and my right hand was the toothpaste, my left hand was a razor. Now that wasn't going to work.
Chris, were the bristles a little bit too long on your toothbrush? You wanted to maybe shave them down a little bit, or?
It's very long.
Well, actually, I'm kind of growing a beard by default at the moment. So if I could have popped some toothpaste on it and had a shave.
I was going to ask you, did you have a shave, Chris?
Actually, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I'm going to stick to a designer stubble, but I haven't worked out how to actually manage that yet. So we'll let you know how it goes.
I was going to say, if you have the hand-eye coordination to shave and brush your teeth at the same time, you got something figured out, my man.
Without a toothbrush, even.
I can walk through gum.
And by the way, Chris, it's not the laughing at your own misgivings is not an exclusive to Australia thing. We do that plenty here in the United States. Actually, there's plenty of stand-up comedians who make a career out of making jokes out of
horrible things that happen to them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. No, it's particularly prevalent here. There's a very ironic stream to Australian humour, but it's not confined to us by any means. I'm not suggesting that it's a purely Australian trait. But look, I'll give you another example of something my grandfather did a very long time ago. My brothers and I were digging out a big stump on a block of land that my parents had at the time, and this was a big stump. I mean, when we got it out of the ground, it was actually about close to 6 feet tall, and sitting on the ground, big stump. And we got it half out of the ground. My grandfather offered to tow it out the rest of the way. And so he backed up his ute. Of course, he had a ute because he's an old bushie. This is about a 75-year-old guy who'd lived in the bush right in the middle of Australia, running a sheep station for about 40 years, and had spent his entire life in that area. So he was your bona fide bush guy, and he was a hard guy. He really wasn't moved to laughter very often. So he was trying to tow this stump out of the ground, and he broke the tow rope. So he cussed at that a bit, and he picked up the tow rope and he walked off with it. And we all thought, what the hell's he going to do with that? Well, he sat down and he actually repaired it by hand braiding it. I've never seen anyone do that before. And he sat there for about half an hour and hand braiding it. And he got up and he picked up the rope, and he realised that instead of joining the two pieces of broken rope, he'd actually joined two ends of one piece and made a loop. Okay, so he basically threw it in the corner, and he had the biggest laugh I've ever seen this man. I'd never really seen him laugh like that ever before. He thought it was hilarious, absolutely hilarious.
That's awesome.
He was
that's a big Billy laugh.
Oh yeah, yeah. So.
Although I have to say, if that was my father, because my poor dad, he just did not find humor. I mean, he was a fun guy in his own way, but my goodness, if he did something if he stubbed his toe, I mean, he would be like cursing and throwing stuff, and like don't even be close to being around him because you would be the victim. I mean, it was just crazy. And my poor dear mother. It's strange that I come out of this family. I think I said that the first time.
What happened to you?
I came into this.
The apple fell very far from the tree.
Well, it fell very far from the tree this time in its own way. My elder brother and I both had, pretty good senses of humor. Actually, my dad had a great sense of humor. It just, if it was about him, it was just little things. He could laugh at other people, but he couldn't laugh at himself because he hadn't worked out his stuff. You know what I mean? But
laughter is a great stress reliever. If you can laugh at that moment when everyone else is about to explode, it just diffuses everything. So it's incredibly powerful. Incredibly powerful.
It's a choice. You get to choose how you see things, how you perceive things. It took me a long time to get there because I was raised in this, and it was all I knew growing up. And I don't remember ever hearing my mother laugh, strangely enough. But
sounds like you may have developed it purely as a defense mechanism.
I could have.
A survival technique.
Yeah, it very well may be that. Although it really is a very intrinsic thing for me. So who knows? It might be a little bit of both. but definitely, now it's incredibly genuine. I know that at times it was a nervous thing, and definitely when I called in that first time, it was both.
Isn't that tape recorded on, sort of preserved on YouTube in perpetuity for an uber giggle?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, that nervousness led to you hosting your own show on Joy.
That's amazing. I'm still just amazed. Yeah.
Joy Specialist.
Enjoy. I mean, what a great show. What great people I get to talk to. It's just phenomenal. But yeah, I just think that it's, it gets to a place where you decide, do I want to be happy, or do I want to continue to drag all of this along with me? And then, you don't get very far when you're dragging all of the stuff. You just don't. You just stay where you are. You can move sideways maybe, but you're not going to move very far when you're carrying all the worries of the world on you until you realize they're not yours. They're just not yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, see, when I got to know Brad, I realized that Brad's been down the rabbit hole almost all his life. And for people like that, given I've only been down it, not even 5 years, how do you actually deal with all that knowledge, knowing the mayhem that's associated with it? There, Brad, I've dumped you right in it, mate. Go for it.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
There's your podium, Brad.
Wasn't ready for the podium.
Well, you're on it, man. Take it away.
I got him laughing.
Buck up, man.
Hey, no laughing on the show.
You know, yeah, I've been in down lots of rabbit holes the whole life, and one thing's led to another to this moment, and I don't regret any of it. A lot of my friends sort of they go out every week, and I say to them, I wish I didn't care. I could just go to the pub and drink and just forget about everything, but the thing is, I think we all do. As much as we want to laugh it off, we all want to see things get better. Not drastic change, but just incrementally better. And I think this show's a really, really good way of doing that. We've got to remember to laugh. And it was funny while you were talking before. I was just remembering when you were speaking about your grandmother, Brian. I was remembering when my grandmother passed a few years ago, and it was an interesting story because she'd always lived up North Australia and in New Guinea for quite a while, and our part of the family's down in Victoria, and the rest of Mum's side of the family was all up in Sydney and gradually further up the east coast of Australia. And anyway, she lived with them for 20, 30 years when she came back from New Guinea, and then the last couple of years that she spent on this beautiful rock, she spent with us down here on the peninsula. And when she eventually passed on to the other side, she was cremated, and we had a bit of a family funeral, but not all the family was there. We couldn't get everyone together, so she sat in the box in our cupboard for probably about a year, and then she went to Sydney and she sat in the box in Sydney cupboard for about a year until the whole family could really get their shit together and get organised and organise a great big family reunion. So that reunion occurred on my mum's cousin's sheep station up in mid northern New South Wales there, in this real little dust bowl of a country town, and I'll never forget this funeral. It was amazing. My mother, my auntie, and my uncle were all standing there. They had because they'd been through the grief years prior, so it was a real celebration. And where they had picked the plot for her to be buried was actually at the foot of her mother's grave. And they dug this little square hole the priest had organised the hole at the foot of the grave of my great-grandmother. And as they placed the little square box that contained the urn and the ashes just on the outside of it, this great big wind whipped up. And we're all standing there, and my mum and my auntie and my uncle, they were pissing themselves laughing. It was like they were drunk.
I can totally see that.
And
she's like, I don't want to go in a hole. Let me just give me the wind.
Yeah, well, funny that, because I'm looking at this hole, and it was clearly big enough for the box to go into. I'll try and cut my story down. Long story short, the priest has tried to put the box in the hole, and it wouldn't go in the hole. And it was clearly bigger. And this box is just sitting there. And we're all laughing, going, no, she doesn't want to go in. She doesn't want to go in. And he's got the shovel, and he's put just a little bit of token dirt on the end of the shovel, and he's done the ashes to ashes and dust to dust, sprinkled a bit on top of the box. And I'm not joking. The box shook, and it fell into the hole.
Oh my God!
And it was just like, whoa, okay. She's. I don't think she liked the position near her mother's feet, but. It was the best night ever. It was the best night ever. Yeah.
Well,
it sounds like trying to get a cat into a cat cage.
Yeah.
And the cat doesn't want to go in there. There's nothing you can do.
Oh my gosh, that brings up a really funny story. So, if anybody, I'm glad you said. So funny you said that. If anybody's ever tried to get a cat into a cat cage, it's one of the hardest things you could ever possibly do. And my mom was moving. We had to move her 2 cats for 500 miles, and they have this stuff that you can feed them that will kind of knock them out a little bit. And but when they're scared, when they know that you're moving around, things are getting moved, they're too scared to eat. And I wish I would have realized that this better strategy is to wait till before you start moving. Then you put in a little piece of peanut butter, a little piece of food, whatever it is cats eat, and you feed it to them. But I swear to God, I chased my mom's cats around the house. They're so fast for a solid 45 minutes to an hour. My mom just sat back and laughed her ass off all the while. And that's so funny. Like when you start to look at life as a celebration, that's one of the biggest things that I've taken away from this experience, because I've been here since it's Wednesday evening. I've been here since Sunday afternoon, and she could take her last breath any minute. It could be in an hour. It could be in a few days. No one really knows. But it's really all the kind of the things going on around here. We got kids running around all over the place, people laughing in other rooms. I mean, in that room, it's quiet. People are going and paying their respects. But even at one point, my mom, my dad, my uncle, my aunt, myself, we were all in there telling stories about things that had happened from our childhood or whatever. But it was just fully a celebration. And I think that if we could look down at ourselves from our highest self point or from our soul level, or as Creator sees us, He sees life, she, the universe, whatever you want to call it, sees life as a celebration. And somewhere along the track, we got lost and confused and decided that life is about working
hardship.
50 hours a week and hardship and limitation and working toward a retirement but being miserable all the way up until then and getting real sidetracked with what's going on and politics.
But even all of that is just a way of expanding all that is into something completely new. It takes contrast, to really expand who you are.
I feel like the creators up there laughing.
We're bringing it back to the celebration. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, I agree with Lisa. Yeah.
Would you say, Lisa?
Spell it out, Lisa.
Think when we go down those paths and think that life is all about struggle and adversity, that the creators just sitting there laughing their ass off, going, wait until they get the punchline.
Right.
Punchline. And they'll be laughing too.
Exactly. I see that with people that I see struggling right now, and it's like, no, I refuse to be happy. I have to fix this mess. I have to. How dare you? It's a bunch of it's bullshit that you people think that you can just be happy. That's ridiculous. You've got to go and fix everything that's happening. And I'm just going, oh my God, I can't wait till they get it.
Exactly.
It's going to be so much fun.
You're it for me.
What's that?
It's like, why would I waste my energy fixing it? You're doing so good trying.
Well, actually, all it does is really it weighs the cumulative mass, consciousness down a little bit. But whatever, it's no big deal. We are expanding so much, and I am seeing this everywhere I go, every single week, and it just blows my mind the incredible pace of this shift. And it's just, I just am so excited.
Yeah. You're gone are the days when we were saying things like, when's it all going to happen?
Right.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for. I'm still somewhat in that mode, because even though I know it's really moving too fast, so it's really moving fast. It's still not fast enough for me. I'd like to see it move faster, but that's just me. That's my perspective.
I'm loving this.
I can choose to not feel that way, but I found times because I always try and take these moments where I just walk out in the backyard, especially if there's a bit of sun out there. The dog and I like to go and sit in the sun, and sometimes I'm sitting here thinking, this is like a slow form of torture. And other days I think, holy hell, how am I going to keep up with this? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what I'm thinking, if there's a bit of bare skin, the dog will be licking it. So I never get the chance to dwell in that spot very often, thanks to the dog. And that's one of the really nice things about life, if you can not get sucked into the drama too much, you'll always find your attention pulled back to what's important, which is just enjoying the experience. And as Brian said, he's in a what could be a really sad, grievous, quite torturous moment. But his family are basically, whether they realize it consciously or not, are turning it into a happy thing.
Right. And look at these other
important
stories that we've been hearing. I mean, Randy's story, he's the one who decided not to get all freaked out about it, and he took the advice just from 2 nights ago, and then within 24 hours, with that advice and the knowing that's inside of him, he switched it all around, and now he's got the property. I mean, hello. Exactly. That's joy. And then we've got Jane Evershed, who, who has definitely gone through a lot of struggles. Hi, Jane. And she's, she was definitely like, oh my God, I can't stand it, so I'm not going to make it through, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it turned out in her favor and all of that. So, it's all, and I've been through that. I've been through that period where, I'm trying to pay a bill or knowing that it's coming up and I don't have the money for it. And for the first couple of months I went into this, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And felt this angst and, all this pressure and blah, blah, blah. But it always seemed to work out anyway. So about the third or fourth month along, I was just like, screw this. I am not going to get upset about this. I know it's going to work out. And so, this is just a waste of my energy. I'd rather have a good time. So I do. And yes, it all works out. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the incident with Randy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was absolutely a moment of joy. I wasn't laughing, right? But it was incredible just to know that he had just set his intention. We're all, I'll use the American term, we're all rooting for him. And I had to say that for the Australian people listening. We were barracking for him.
Yeah.
And all he did was just shift his focus to knowing that it was going to happen, and it happened.
Right. He took the barriers away.
Wow.
He took the barriers away. We've got a couple of callers, and I have a feeling this is going to be really fun. Would you like to take a caller?
Why not?
Yeah.
Before we do, Scott, is Ken about?
He is. He's just been preparing the place for a house inspection this morning, so he's
okay.
around.
I'd like to just pull him in. I'd just like him to say hello because Ken is the backstop for a number of us here in Australia, and he's been working on the FORAPAC
Skype
email responses, and he's done a fantastic job. And I just wanted to.
What is FORAPAC?
FORAPAC was the email inquiries for people using courtesy notices.
Okay.
He's answered thousands of emails in the last months, thousands of them.
Thank you.
And the fact that he reminds me of my grandfather quite a bit is one of the reasons why I think we get on so well. But and one of the reasons why we do get into arguments about particularly things like CVAX and how it all should work, etc., which is great because we know that we'll eventually get on the same page if we discuss it long enough. So is Ken there, Scott?
You can probably hear him in the background now.
Get him over. Get him over.
G'day. Hello.
Hey, Ken.
Hello, Ken.
Hi, Chris.
How are you going
Ken.
today? You got a house inspection going on.
Yes, this morning.
Is this the landlord? What's happening?
Yes, it's a landlord job. No, just a regular rental inspection to make sure that I'm looking after the place. And all that stuff. But we got busy, noisy neighbours this morning with the construction crew. They're putting up scaffold and they're using bits of scaffold that they previously filled with concrete. So belting the crap out of it with a hammer to knock the concrete off.
That sounds lovely.
Joyful. Yeah, quiet morning for all.
Oh, good fun all around.
Yeah, I reckon. So Ken, we realise you're busy. We just, what was the last thing that gave you a real belly laugh in this whole process that we're all going through? I know you've probably had some ripper emails over the last few months that you've just had to laugh at, I hope.
Actually, the thing that comes to mind is a couple of dirty ones that people sent me yesterday. They gave a belly laugh.
Well, perhaps we can't share those ones, Ken, but,
Sure we can.
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm kidding.
Just be happy that life goes on regardless of all the other crap.
That's true.
Hey, you know what we can ask? It's kind of a tradition on this show. When people come on, we ask them what brings them joy.
True.
Life. If that's something that you can muster up, Ken, before you run off, that'd be awesome.
Well, the thing that brings me joy mostly is personal satisfaction in that what I'm doing is working and coming to fruition and all those wonderful things, except that nobody can put a date on it yet. But otherwise, I'm very happy that things are moving along and we're getting to where we want to be.
Yes.
Progress. Progress manifests joy.
That's the one in 3 words.
Very good. Very good. All right, we got one bottle down. Scott, what about you, man? What brings you joy?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, Lord.
No,
I suppose
Riding his Mustang.
Well, Corvette.
Corvette, sorry.
Jeez.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
Yeah.
That recently.
That was so lame.
Yeah.
That's been putting.
How dare you say Mustang?
I know.
All right, good.
You'll have to speak up, Scott. The crowd's getting a bit unruly here.
Okay, yeah. No, I'd say that.
Yeah, driving my Corvette recently has really put a smile on my face. Partly, I suppose, because of what that car really means to me, and I think a whole lot more people with regard to it being the centre of the focus and a lot of the learning that I went through in discovering this corporate government. So to me, that car means a whole lot, and to be able to drive that, really puts a smile on my face.
Well, not only drive it, you've actually won a couple of prizes with it.
Yeah, it's won People's Choice Award at 2 car shows, 2 in a row. So, it seems that I'm not the only one who likes it.
You got people crunching on your car, huh? That's cool.
That car in 50 years' time will be in the One People's Museum.
It will be.
Awesome. I love the thought of having the One People's Museum. That's beautiful.
Hey, Scott, I get the urge to spill the beans on your nickname, your and your dad's nickname. May I?
Go on.
Please do.
Julian made this comment a couple of weeks back, not on air, so no one's actually heard it yet. He said the Pleiadians have a nickname for Ken and Scott. They call them the Clever Boys.
That was on air, actually.
Was it on air?
It was last week.
My mistake.
It was
my
last
mistake.
week, yeah.
Oh, okay, so he has actually spilled the beans. See, I'm getting it's so hard to remember. Yeah, it's so hard to remember what's recorded and what's gone to air or not. It all just. I'm sure you guys have the same problem. No, Lisa does. What was actually said in conversation and what's actually gets to air? Because a lot of these times we have these conversations before the show, and sometimes
you also have like a billion shows that you're on.
Well, it seems to be that way. But you get onto the show and you have the show, and after the show you think back, gee, we had that fantastic conversation beforehand. Did it all make it onto the show? And it's very difficult to remember. But anyhow, I just wanted to make sure that got out there because I think it's hilarious and I think it's very accurate too.
Yeah.
And if they're listening, thumbs up.
Yeah. Hey Pleiadians, how are you?
I actually have one real quick story I'll throw in here.
Okay.
So I'm over here at my uncle's house, and I know Sheena Living Waters, which is her very creative alias name, not a real name. I found that out recently. Sheena's been following all of our work pretty much since the very beginning, and she was having a conversation with a really close friend of hers, I don't know, a few months back, talking about One People's Public Trust stuff, and my aunt goes, wait a second, she goes, Brian Kelly, that's my nephew. So there was that link. She goes, wait, what? So her whole family follow all the work that we do. Very, I'd say, very big supporters. And so when she found out I was in town, she invited me over. I went over to her house the day before yesterday, and the whole family, her husband Dan, who I know is listening, he's awesome. He played the guitar for us. He used to open up for Creedence Clearwater.
Wow.
Really, her son just went up against the court twice and did a bunch of research. Her son Don did a bunch of research on how to basically go stand your ground and go up against the system. And he went in there with the purpose of trying to make the judge prove his jurisdiction, and he straight manhandled this judge in the court, and on 9 different accounts. And the judge posted his plea as not guilty for him on his behalf. So he basically studied Batman the day before, went up against the judge, and manhandled this judge in front of court, in front of everybody, pretty much.
Wow.
He was back in there.
Did he do the fraud from the bench line? Did he?
Well, there was no DA there, and there was no the people there. So he asked the judge, I just want to ask you one question. Who do you represent? the judge got really flustered and said, well, why don't you sit down? I'll bring all the other people up first, and then I'll bring you back up when we're done. And so he waited. He flushed all the people out, and then brought him back up. And he just I can't remember. He's actually Sheena, a.k.a. Sheena, I guess is probably a better way of putting it. No, it's not a real name. It's Vicky. Sorry, I'm outing you, Vicky. She recorded the whole thing on audio. And so we have this whole thing on how he handled an audio. We're going to make a YouTube video out of it and share it.
I'm so excited about that. Sheena just said videos will be forthcoming. I'm so excited. I was going to say videos, please. He should do videos on what he knows because people need this right now.
This guy, Don, he knew it in there, no fear whatsoever. He was going in. He got pulled in on a failure to appear for a driver's. He's very unplugged from the system, just like me and so many others. And he got pulled over with no driver's license, had to appear. But he went in there, no fear, stood his ground, and just put this judge straight up in check. And I laughed my butt off while he told me this story. I was so ridiculously impressed by his how he handled himself in that. So video coming. But Vicky's in the room, and Dan, her husband, is listening. So I just wanted to throw a quick shout out to Dan, newly awakened and very much interested in everything that we got going on. Just super cool family. Love you, Vicky.
Yeah. All I can say is yeehaw.
The key thing, folks, is the people that have success against the system, and it comes up time and time again, are the ones. It's not just the processes you're using; it's the ability to stand in the space required. And it sounds like that gentleman's energy, his thoughts, his being need to be brought out and on video. Made available to people so they can see what that experience is like, because it is so empowering to actually see it done and hear it done. Yeah. It's really important. If anything brings me joy, it's when that sort of when humans stand up and do that, it just takes my breath away. Yeah. And there's a guy here in Australia who's actually had 3 judges disbarred for making a plea on his behalf in court.
Wow.
He warned them. He said, essentially, you're going to plea on my behalf. Go right ahead. Right? They do a plea on his behalf. He said, right, you just committed fraud from the bench. You can't represent me and be the judge at the same time. And he's had 3 of them removed. So, it's part of the process that it's their own rules. They made the rules up. They just break them all the time. But when someone really stands in that space, like Daryl is doing, Captain Daryl, he actually... I have been trying to catch up with him. The time zone thing is killing me at the moment, so it's a little difficult. But the last time we had a discussion about his court case, he actually said, he actually laughed and said it was like, there's a video clip that he sent me, which unfortunately my clipboard's doing something weird, so I can't post it. But if you go to YouTube and Google Eddie Izzard, Izzard, Death Star Canteen, it's actually a send-up of Star Wars. And he said that was like the conversation he had with the judge. It was funny. And I wish he'd had it recorded because I'd love to hear it, because it sounds like he had the judge quite cornered, the way the gentleman you're speaking about, Brian. And just to have people standing up and doing this in front of a system which most people think is the immovable object, right, is absolutely fantastic. And that's one of the things that brings me joy, is to see people standing up.
Me too. Me too. And I think that, we're seeing it more each day. And I think with each one of these that happens, and the people that are bringing up videos that say, this is what this means, and this is how to deal with this. And when you really get to know it within yourself, and you really have to, you can't just go in there having this knowledge sitting outside of you. It has to be inside of you.
The key, too, is, and this tied back to the whole joy thing, the key, too, with Don that he had written all over his energy was he went in there not attached to any outcome. Mm-hmm. He knew there was a chance that judge could have thrown the book at him. He knew that it could have gone either way, and he was totally cool to stand in his truth, to know that he had the right of way in this situation, and that it didn't matter what happened to him. He was going to stand his truth anyways, because there's a lot of people right now that I'll talk to. You know, I tell them about how unplugged I am. You know, I said no to the fraudulent credit card debt. I said no to the fraudulent car loan. I said no to the fraudulent DMV. And they look at me, you're freaking crazy. What if they come after you? And that's the difference. Is who knows? They might. You know, they might try to come after me. But I'm not willing to sacrifice my truth out of fear that they might come after me.
Yeah.
If they do, I'll deal with that as it comes. But until then, I stand my ground. I know my truth. I stand in it without fear, and I think that without fear and standing in it is what keeps them away.
Yeah, I think it puts that bubble around you that it's an energetic bubble that says you can't come inside this. I've got my car insurance due day after tomorrow, and I really don't want to do it. I really don't want to pay it. And I really don't have the money for it. But, you know, I don't want to do it anyway. But I want to talk to somebody about that. So don't be surprised if I try to get in touch with you, Brian.
Well, I won't give you any advice unless you ask for it, but I haven't paid my car insurance in the last 2 months. So if that tells you what my answer might be.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I had a moment in joy when I actually got the information that the insurance industry is the key to world peace. I thought, well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And then it was explained to me. Well, I spoke about this on one of the shows last week. Don't ask me which one, Judy, because I can't remember. Can't remember that one.
You're off the hook.
But look, I'll give you the real thumbnail version is that every piece of military hardware and every soldier, every airman, every seaman, they're all insured. They'll only send them into war if they're insured because they get a payoff. They get a payoff. So shut down the insurance companies. You know, bingo, world peace.
Yeah.
At least in that game.
Then we can't go to war.
That was the One People show, by the way. I do.
There you go. There you go. And I think the mass media as well. I think when we shut them down and we shut this down, I mean, and it's all coming down. I can feel it.
Well, you know, I'll put in my 2 pence here, Judy. We need to repurpose these things because we own them.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually ours. And I actually don't want to shut anything down. You know, Scott can speak to this of you know how we actually kind of reshape things. Scott, do you want to give a quick version of your slice them and dice them theory? Unmuted.
Scott, hello.
Yep.
Hello. Yeah, the version I've been describing is basically the removal of the roadblocks. So we've got a system that everyone is familiar with. We all live with it each day, and yet there are certain services that are essential ones, and then there are certain, and a lot of them, services that are not actual services and are more of a hindrance.
Energy harvesting, actually.
Yep. So all of those ones could be removed, and I call them roadblocks. So it's remove the roadblocks and you've got a free road ahead of you. So
just like the banks can be repurposed.
Yeah.
Exactly. But to repurpose the banks, there's a layer of administration that has to be removed.
Right.
And a chunk of their business activities have to be removed to leave it, which is the bit we need, is just the transaction centres and the web interface systems. That's actually that's the only thing we need. We don't need a bunch of CEOs and board members and senior administration working out how to actually, screw the last dollar out of fleece. Exactly. That's all they're only there just to fleece the customers.
Right.
How can we lie to them this week? And that's what they're doing, sitting around in their boardrooms doing. So we don't need that crap. And in the government system, well, the number one department that gets removed out of there, tax department, gone. Because the employees in those departments, of course, once we get the access to value issues sorted out with the banks, they won't need their fleecing jobs. They can jump right back into something that's actually, a joy to them. And that's one of the keys to this whole process is just how happy people will be when we finally get to the other side of the deception that's been foisted upon us, and everyone realizes, holy crap,
I get to do what I love now, yay!
Exactly. We're all waiting for that moment. I mean, here's something you could ask people: what will they do in that moment when the world actually realizes that it was all just a game and we can go and play it another way?
Yeah.
And I'm undecided between cartwheels up and down the street versus putting a deck chair out in the front yard and getting a cocktail out and just watching the fun.
I'd say
you'll only do that for a certain period of time too. Then you'll want to move on to something else.
You get to do
both. Exactly. There'll be a moment though. So, okay, what will that moment be for, say, Lisa? What will you be doing, Lisa? Jumping up and down, sitting back going, oh, thank goodness it's done.
Packing my bags, getting on a plane.
Going to Morocco.
Going to Morocco.
That's a fair comment.
I'm going to go to Morocco, too. I'm going to see you there, girlfriend.
Going to be crowded over there.
It is. Okay.
I got to go back to my birthplace.
Oh, that's right. She was born in Morocco.
I was.
Judy was.
Really?
Yeah, I was born literally like about an hour away from where everybody was. And not only that, this is bizarre too. I came into the world, my energy came into the world just north of Rabat. And then on that same day, and I don't know what this means, but I know it's bizarre. On that same day, the French exploded a bomb out in the Sahara Desert.
Oh.
Now, I have no idea what that means. I just know it means something.
We're just celebrating your birth, Dawn.
Yep.
What's that?
Celebrating your arrival.
Oh, there you go. I like that. I totally like that.
Judy, works.
Yeah.
Judy, yeah, exactly. Judy, fireworks follow Judy. So, Judy, are you actually...
Because I was born just after midnight, and it happened like a couple of hours later in the Sahara Desert.
Close enough. It's a pass.
Yeah, it's great. No,
Judy,
we're celebrating.
Are you actually a Moroccan citizen then?
I am. I have citizenship.
There you go.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Judy is destined to go back to Morocco when we all go back.
No doubt.
But that's a really long list of all. Probably every single person that's listening to this call and is in the chat room will end up in Morocco at one time or another. Somebody mentioned the comment about something about that brought up that documentary. If anybody has Netflix, there's a documentary on there called Happy. Has anybody seen that?
I think I have. Yes, I have.
They have. It's like a documentary, and they interview people from all walks of life, the United States, third world countries. They ask people what it is that makes them happy, what brings them joy. A homework assignment for everybody: go home and watch the movie Happy. I swear to God, it will change your views on the variables to which that make people happy. Like some of the people in the most poorest countries that have nothing except they have their family are some of the happiest people in the world compared to some of the people here in the United States that allegedly, based on their wealth and the car they drive and the house they drive, way, way, way happier. But the point of the story was that there's a country in Asia, and I can't remember what it is now.
Bhutan.
Is that what it is?
I think it is. I think it's Bhutan.
The way that they judge their nation's progress is by the happiness of the nation's people. And think about that for a minute. Not based on GDP or what the stock market is doing or what the average annual income is. They judge it by their progress, by the happiness of the people. What if all of the world adopts the same strategy? If we decide to start judging our progress by the happiness and contentment in the hearts and minds of all of the people. Personally, I think that's where we're going.
Yeah, I do too.
Bhutan.
I think that's it. I might be wrong. Bhutan has something really incredibly special going on there, and I think that might be it. But I remember seeing that part of it, and realizing that was the GDP of that whole realm of people. That's all they cared about was how happy, and they loved each other. They laughed all the time. They were in joy.
Yep. And Chris, do you know what element they use to measure the happiness of the people?
The
amount of cartwheels they can do in the street every day.
Oh, really?
Brian's full of shit. Sorry.
Look, I was just trying to imagine, hundreds of Bhutanese doing cartwheels down the street.
80-year-old, 90-year-old people.
Well, maybe they have to make allowances for age. They could have some kind of, waiting system for age.
You guys ready to take a call?
Yes, why not?
Okay, cool. All right, so here we go. Area code 336. Hold on a second. Here we go. Area code 336. Are you there? Hello.
Hey, it's Randy.
It's Randy.
Hey, Randy.
Welcome, Randy.
This is amazing that I got on this call first. It really is.
You rock, man.
When you guys were in Morocco and you kept coming to us and you guys could not quit laughing, I wanted to share something so bad that I didn't know what to do. Well, tonight's tonight.
Go for it, Randy.
We are all in.
I've been reading this book called Love Without End for, I would say, 12, 13 years now. This book, and I'm going to give a prelude so you understand what's behind it. This was a lady who was a portraitist who did artwork simply to be put in the Smithsonian, whatever, of presidents or whatever. Anyway, her house burned down on December of 1998, I believe it was, 96, somewhere in that time frame. And in the middle of the night, after the fire had happened and completely destroyed her art studio and everything, her husband had a dream, and he said, "You're going to paint a portrait of Christ." She said, "That you're delirious, go back to sleep." And from that point on, he was hounding her, telling her, "You're going to paint a portrait of Jesus. I know you are." Well, she one day said to herself, "Okay, I give up. If I'm going to paint a portrait of Christ, make it happen, so be it." Well, at this point, she saw in the sky a cloud that was in the shape of a lion. So the title of the portrait is called The Lamb and the Lion. And to make a long story short, Jesus comes to her and they have a conversation, but she's also painting his portrait in the process. And while they're having these conversations, he explains a lot of things to her that really opens up. It makes things known to make the churches look ridiculous. I'm going to be quite honest about that. Religion is stupid in the way that we've been taught.
I don't think you're going to get an argument from anybody on the panel.
Yeah.
Exactly. I grew up a Southern Baptist preacher's son, just so you know where I'm coming from.
I grew up in the Southern Baptist church, too. And I used to talk like you. Anyway,
I feel so much love being with you guys. I feel like I'm a part of this radio show every week, whether I get to talk on it or not. And last night, after I talked to you guys, even more stupendous things happened. I mean, it was just amazing. It's amazing how things, like Lisa said, in the twinkling of an eye, you can't imagine. I mean, I have angels that I feel like are literally standing right beside of me, making things happen. It's amazing. I'm going to read something if it's okay.
I don't doubt that you do, Randy.
Exactly.
This is the chapter 15 in this book, and it's titled The Beloved. When this wonderful child was born 2,000 years ago, Joseph was told to name him Yeshua, which shortened to his colloquial foreshort name is Yeshua. Friends, family, and disciples all know him as Yeshua. The name Yeshua has been subsequently translated into every language known to man. In the English language, we call him Jesus. But, of course, that wasn't until the 16th century when the hard J was first added to the English alphabet. Before that, it was a softer sound that came from the Greek word Isis. Beyond all the different linguistic traditions, there is, however, a universal name which is more precious than all the rest. As a result of our personal conversations, I was granted the higher awareness and privilege of knowing this holy name which is simply the beloved. To appreciate this name more fully, we must remember that we are also love. And as the descendants of divine mystery, we are also our Creator's beloved children. It's just that, relative to our current condition, we do not remember ourselves as coming from a divine origin. We have drifted so far away from our source of our being that we think of ourselves as different from Jesus and separate from love. One of the main causes for this unfortunate occurrence is that we try to know our lives through mirrored images. We seek to gain self-understanding through feedback, evaluation, and opinion. He called this reflectance. If one fully comprehends why a flame cannot step aside and see itself burn, and why water cannot see itself flow, then one can also appreciate its own eternal mystery. Surrendering to the mystery will yield more wisdom than any reflection, full illusion could ever reveal. Once this is accepted in faith, there will be no further need for external formulations of self-worth. He stated, and this is the words of Jesus, you seek to know love by your own efforts and the efforts of others in return. So you have learned to think of love as an action or an external thing. It is even bartered as a commodity. Such ideas of viewing love externally have led you to judgment and separation from the true source of love and your own higher nature. The truest way to know your love is not by reflectance, but by the joy you feel in being yourself. That joy is the soul's pleasure in the presence of love incarnate. Whatever you experience as the joy is the cup of your love overflowing. By your joy you shall know your love, and the nature of your soul as it casts your love upon the waters of life. In his presence there was love overflowing, glowing with an aura of contentment and happiness. His face radiated with joy, and he often smiled from ear to ear. Sometimes there was a heartwarming chuckle. I was fascinated, however, by the fact that I never witnessed him to laugh, at least not a bursting guffaw. Most people consider me a naturally humorous person, able to generate laughter easily, and so it is intriguing that I did not have the effect on Jesus. I wondered how he could spark hilarious laughter from me and yet have no apparent need of it himself. It is not something that caused me concern, since everything seemed to be in perfect order between us. Later, in a moment of inspiration, it dawned upon me. Joy is a direct outpouring of love, while laughter is what we feel when we release our blockages to love. Laughter is part of the way we process love. Laughter enables us to look at something that we could not face before. It allows us to accept something we previously rejected, to generate a flow where before there was a blockage of energy. Release makes us laugh. Freedom makes us happy. Jesus had no blockages to love.
Wow.
I'm going to stop right now. Awesome.
No.
Profundity.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Randy, you've nailed it, mate. That's it.
You've also
it.
reminded
Thank
me
you.
of something.
Oh, please yourself.
Well, when you asked me to be on the first show, the Enjoy show, you asked me what brings me joy, and at the time the answer was really simple. It was expansion. I think I had one word. But in the last couple of weeks, I've gone through a process of, funnily enough, this sounds like a paradox, but defining what I'm undefining, in the sense of we have put so many elements, so many aspects of our being into boxes with definite rules, socially accepted norms, so to speak. How you are to be in that role of parent, or child or lover or spouse or friend or sibling, and this is the way you behave. This is what's acceptable, and this isn't. And I've been going through a process of just absolutely tearing away all of those limitations, all of those barriers. I've taken that box, I've ripped it to shreds, and I've put it in the recycling bin, basically. And come to a place where all I want to do is be in each and every moment with another being and have my behavior, my doing, my being be guided by, I'm not even sure if this is the term, I'm making it up, spiritual appropriateness or
love.
The energetic between, I want the behavior that we exhibit towards one another to be based on the energy between us and nothing else. Not between what, not guided by the role. Not guided by the role and the definition of who I am in relationship to that person.
Right. I get what you're saying.
Yeah? That it's appropriate for me to behave this way because I am that person's friend, or I am that person's mother, or I am that person's lover, or I am that whatever.
Yeah.
And not get rid of all of that. And it's what is the energy between us here and now, and what feels appropriate for us right here in this moment. And that's
what feels real.
And
that's huge.
More I know. And it was really big for me last night because I was really in this place last night, which was great. But
wow,
moments are bringing me more and more joy. The more I get rid of those limitations, the more I get rid of all of that.
The boxes, you're absolutely right. It's all about the boxes and people's expectations, and this creation, this construct that is no longer valid.
It's not. I think relationships, any description, are going to look like they do now.
Yeah.
Very short.
Hey, just real quick before we lose Randy. Randy, can you write that up and email it to me? Because that deserves a blog post, and to be what you just read deserves to be shared with everyone beyond those listening to this call.
Yeah, and Randy, that was brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I actually, Randy, I can't believe how beautifully accurate that was. Because when we were talking before the show about what are we going to talk about today, and I said I wanted to explore the difference between joy and laughter, I had no idea that I would be answered so brilliantly. And I know you received a massive amount of energy and support from everybody who's aware of you. Man, you just gave it back in kind.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yep, absolutely.
That's it.
Hey, Randy, my email is Brian Kelly's blog at What's up?
I feel like there are angels standing right beside me all the time, and I think that we have to come to that. I had to be alone for many years of my life to realize that I'm not alone.
Right.
And I don't know if that makes sense.
You take the party with you wherever you go.
Yeah. There's so many angels watching after me. Every time I look at the clock, it's a synchronistic, like 11:11 or 12:12. And every time I see it, I say, thank you, my dear angels. Thank you. Because it's a sign from heaven.
Because you do, it's gratitude is huge. Because you do, they flock in. They're there. They know that
they know that I have love. I have so much love to give that I have stored up for years. My storehouse is so full of love that needs to be shared.
There you go. Hey, Randy, I got everybody in the chat room wants to know where in North Carolina you're from.
I live in a little town called Denton, North Carolina. I work on a farm. Denton, Denton. It's a little.
Denton, okay.
It's considered to be BFE, if you know what that means.
Sure. I live in a town real close to a town called Benton, Illinois, and people call it BFE too.
I work on a farm here, and I just when I go out and feed the cows or whatever I do, I just enjoy it. I just put out that this is, I want to be me.
You
I want to be real.
You shine. You shine. You emit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you guys, last night after I talked to you, I mean, it just kept flowing. I mean, I could have been on that call forever just sharing energy because I'm telling you what, this is amazing what's happening in my life. I cannot describe how amazing it is. There's no words for it in the English language.
You don't have to. We can feel it from you.
Yeah, you don't even have to say anything.
Right.
Randy, please email me that what you just read. If I don't hear that again, I'm gonna be really upset.
Well,
I need to see that in writing. I need to read it.
Let go of the attachments,
I
Brian.
have an attachment. It's a healthy
Brian,
one though.
Brian, can you call me? Does somebody have my telephone number?
He wants it in writing.
All I have is an iPhone. I don't have computer connection, so I don't have capability.
Hey, Randy.
Hang on.
Okay.
I'm going to take down his
Don't
number from inside the studio.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. Okay, so I got it.
I'll
I would
contact
love to share so much with you guys. I really would.
I got it.
We really appreciate you, my man. And you let everybody experience this by calling in. Well, we love you, man.
Yeah, big time.
We love you. I love you too. I love all of you. Everybody on this call.
We feel it, man.
All
right, I'll get back to you, Brian. All right, see you, Randy. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
that
Randy.
was amazing.
Bye, Randy.
Thank you, guys. I love you.
We love you.
Hey, we should go back to what Lisa was talking about because I think that's groundbreaking. What she's trying to do, because what Lisa, what you're doing is so counterculture. Setting an intention.
Brian, let me just pull you up there. I had this thing about the word culture. All right, if you break it up, the first four letters are cult, and I it's counter to what culture? There's a culture that's been forced on us by a cult.
Mm-hmm.
You can call them what you like, partners in contrast. That cult has forced upon us a concept of what culture should be. What Lisa is going to is what culture should be. We're the counterculture. Okay, so I just couldn't let that go past, Brian. Sorry about that. We're the culture. They're the counterculture. So where Lisa's going is where we should have always been, and where we apparently decided to jump from in order to learn some lessons.
Yeah.
Well, we're just going back there.
And you know, it's so interesting because something that came across my Facebook recently about words, and it said, and a lot of people are like, well, you know what I meant, blah, blah, blah. And I get that, I do that too. So, but, and I won't say this exactly right, probably, but it's something like, be careful of your words because words are spells. That's why they call it spelling.
Yeah. Words are spelled. SPELLED. It's a lot of them are a trick. They're actually meant to fool us because it's like history. History is written by the victors. The dominant culture of the day, the dominant cult of the day, gets to point at other smaller cults and say, "You're bad." And why is it that I'm good? Well, I'm bigger than you are. Okay, and that's no reason to be calling yourself good. That just means you're a bully if you're doing that. So very, very, words. Well, we've had words playing in our heads, and they've been playing with our minds with words for hundreds, if not thousands, of years. And now we're awake to that. We can start to process, and we can change our language. Something I said yesterday was I just love the way that we're learning to evolve our own language to really express our perspectives. Well, accurately is the best way to put it. We've
injected a lot of new language lately. The eternal essence and following the energetic trail.
And the in change.
And the in change, yeah.
Right.
Lots of words have been introduced.
And as we learn about this, and there's a few radio hosts around, like Kate of Gaia. One of Kate of Gaia's favourite things to do is to disassemble words into their bits and point out, they're saying the opposite to what we think they are. And that's been one of the tricks. This whole system we're working in is arse about.
Yes, but let's get back to
Upside
what Lisa
down.
was saying, because I
yes,
love
what
she was saying, because I've been playing with that myself, and I'm so glad to hear this, and I want to hear more.
Well, I guess it's what the process I've been going through since getting back from Morocco, but I hadn't been able to articulate it. And like I said, define the undefinable, or define what I'm redefining. And it just hit me last night, because I've had some amazing conversations with people in my surroundings and in my family since I got back. Totally transparent, leaving me completely vulnerable.
Yeah, naked.
Absolutely. And instead of that being frightening, it has been absolutely liberating. And I've gained, it's like the more vulnerable I am, the more transparent I am, the freer I feel, and the more empowered I feel.
Yeah.
I'm
going through that too.
Yeah, the complete opposite to what we've been told about being vulnerable.
Right. Hide this, hide that. Don't show anybody that you do this, and don't, But the thing is when you let go of all of that, when you just totally get naked, there are a couple of cards in the tarot deck that actually, depict this. And what they mean is that you can walk into the world not hiding anything. Therefore, you have no one that can take you down.
Mm-hmm.
No one.
Well, I think a lot of the reason we aren't honest, perhaps, or completely vulnerable and transparent, is because we're either frightened of the way people are going to see us, or we're frightened of what we're going to lose.
Right.
Whether it's having we might lose that person in our life, or we might lose the perception that person currently holds of us, or whatever it is we're frightened of. And I've let go of all of that. So it needs, for me at least, it has involved letting go of any attachments to how I'm seen as well.
Right.
Or any attachments to the choices that people might make for themselves that concern me.
And the wonderful thing about that, as I'm seeing it, as I'm moving through some of that myself, is that the more that requires true self-love. And the more you love yourself, the more you live within that pure energy, the more people come on board and really just love the energy that you are, and they admire the fact that you're doing that, because it gives them the ability to say, oh my gosh, if she can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah. Like the other night, what was it, Tuesday night, I think, unexpectedly, I was put into a situation where I was going to have 20 plus people come to my place that night for dinner. And firstly, I didn't stress about it at all, which was amazing. But during the course of the night, I was seeing people, I was engaging in conversations, and I was seeing people looking at me with this, I want what she's having, straight out of when Harry met Sally, kind of looks on their faces, and trying to engage me in conversation. And I've got three people who've messaged me saying, okay, I need to talk to you more next week when it's just one-on-one. I need to know what's happened. Because it wasn't the right environment to go into too much at that time on Tuesday night. But people just could see, and I had all sorts of compliments that night about how I was looking and glowing and changing, and what happened. I was like, yeah, I'll tell you later. But people could see it.
Yeah.
They only have to take one look at you, and suddenly they take a step back and go, oh yeah, I want what she's having.
Right.
Yeah. It's that I want what she. That's brilliant, because I was talking about that with my family earlier today. I was passing to pass the time, some of the time that we're spending here. I've been doing some healing sessions with some of my family, and I was just talking about how when you have the ability to stand in your own truth and shine your light and be totally free yourself from your judgments of yourself and judgments from others, you become bulletproof. People can't touch you. And you realize that through acting that way and through just deciding, I'm going to be happy, I'm going to be joyful, like we were talking about earlier, this is my party, you want to come and play? Cool, come and play, but don't bring your negative Nancy stuff over here, because it's just not going to survive in the vibration that I'm creating for myself. It doesn't really matter what people think that you're up to, or whatever it is. They're going to want to know, holy crap, what's their secret? What have they figured out? And they're going to naturally be drawn to you, and they're going to naturally want to know how it is that you're able to maintain your inner peace amidst perceived chaos.
There's an emission that comes out. It literally emits from the inside of who you are when you get to that place where you've let go of something, because you have to let go of things before you can find the space. Because what we are is we're light, we're love, and the things that keep us from that are the old paradigm understandings or thoughts that hold us down, that we worry about. I'm looking at so and so, or they're going to think I'm going to, if I do this, they're going to think this, and they're going to think that. And when you let that go, all they want is what you've got.
Yep. Yeah. I had my college buddies. They think a couple of them were joking around. They thought that I was in a cult, because they see some of the stuff that I post on Facebook or whatever. And I just turned it into this huge joke. Like whenever they ask me what I'm doing, I say, I'm having a cult. I'm recruiting for my cult. And do you like Kool? We serve really good Kool-Aid. It's delicious. Come on over.
Would you like
taste some?
Would you like to join? Yeah, jump in.
And we went out. We went out to the USA Guatemala soccer game the other night after we had been joking around all this, and it was 2 or 3 of my buddies on their own kind of came up to me like, seriously, bro, like, what are you doing, dude? Like, what is this really all about? They're just so intrigued because they know. You come at me, say I'm in a cult, say I joined a boy band. I honestly don't care anymore about what
that I want to see.
Think.
Sorry,
you
in a boy band.
Yes.
That makes me laugh.
I'm going to throw myself under the bus here and say that I was a New Kids on the Block fan back in the day. Go ahead.
Right, you just let something seriously slip there.
Yeah.
Brian in a boy band.
Oh, right. Hey,
that's happening. That's so happening.
I'm recruiting. If you're interested in getting this show on the road, I can't sing. I can't dance that well. And let's see. And I don't play any instruments, so that's a start.
That's all right. You don't have to in a boy band. They don't either.
Thanks. All right, that one's going to stick. Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate you pointing that out.
We have a couple of calls. Can we take a couple of calls?
Yeah, let's do it. Actually, hey, guys, I hate to do this, but it's my time. I got to go dinner and be with my family. So I'm going to have to jump, but I know you guys are going to be all right because we got quite the party going on in here right now.
But going for you, bud.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for all the love and the support. I love you guys. And Judy, Lisa, Chris, Scott, and Ken. And I'm sorry, what was the other guy's name? Really awesome.
Brad.
From
Don't forget Brad.
Brad. I love you guys. Have a wonderful night, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Big, huge love to you.
Cheers, Brian. Bye.
Bye, Brian. Family.
Thanks, Brian. Much love.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right, let's take caller 561. Caller 561. Are you there?
Hello there.
Hello. Is it Jerry?
Hello.
Jerry.
This is Jerry.
Totally recognize that voice.
How could you miss me, hey?
Yes, we missed you.
Yes. And I hope you brought a poem, Jerry.
You did.
I did, because I wrote one specially for the Enjoy show.
Woohoo!
I did.
Can't wait to hear it, girl.
It's one that you can announce. You could even say it at the beginning if you like. Because it's from you. You would say, welcome, dear friends. Hello, ahoy. We're here to share with you our joy. We love to laugh and giggle too, especially when we are here with you. We are in joy. It makes us whole. Whole in heart, mind, body, and soul. Now join the fun. Let's have a laugh while meandering along our spiritual path. That's it.
That's cool.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great work, Jerry.
Woo, Jerry.
Yeah.
So what's going on with you, Jerry? What's happening?
Oh, well, I'm just like, with you guys, I'm so excited. I'm like continually in a kind of a twirl of excitement because I don't know what to do because everything's so exciting. I'm just like beaming with joy constantly. And I've got to tell Lisa, one of the friends in one of the chat rooms, it was actually Linda, Ray of Sunshine. She's wonderful and is always posting loads of links, and she posted a link to you doing an interview with Kelly LaShire last year sometime.
Yes.
Do you remember that interview? Yeah. Oh,
yeah, with the Simeon Collective as well.
Oh, I resonated with everything the two of you said, and I was like, oh, thank goodness, I can be like this. You were sort of like, you listen to spiritual teachers, and they say you got to do this and you got to do that, but at the end of the day, you've got to do what feels right from within. And I've been like that for a while, and they say, oh, you've got to do this, and if you don't do this, you won't go there. And I'm like, oh, I kind of don't want to do all that, but I know what I do want to do. And now everything you said and everything she said, I was like, yes, that's what I can be like. So I know what to do. I just know.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. I was like, this is like, between the two of you, and you kept saying things, she's like, yes, that's exactly right. And I couldn't have said it better myself. And I was like, yeah, that's what I feel like too. So it was definitely very exciting for me to sort of feel that I can just, even if it doesn't go along with somebody's teachings, even a teacher that I really, respect and I've come a long way with, but there's still some things that you just know yourself is more what you need to do yourself. And when you're feeling good and you've got the right connections. And then I've got this connection with this horse that is just like mind-boggling. And he has taught me so many lessons, and I really didn't know what real love felt like until I met this horse. And I've been working with horses like professionally for 34 years or something. I've been around horses for 45 years. And I've never had love for this, an animal or a person or anything like I do for this one horse. And to start with, we kind of clashed a bit. He was a bit ignorant and, he was a bit unhappy. And I think he'd come through a sort of life cycle similar to mine, which was a bit of use and abuse and taking for granted and just being another kind of creature and do this, do that. And one day we just kind of gelled, and his eyes just opened up, and he is just the most bright, sparkling spirit you could hope to lay eyes on and feel. He's just a joy. And now I just get on him and I just say, right, Chippy, what do you want to do today? And he's like, oh, well, we'll just wander along here. And then he's like, well, we'll just gallop here. I don't even need to hold the reins. I just sit there. And, he hops and skips and jumps and bucks. And when he bucks, I laugh. And the more I laugh, the more he bucks. And it's just joyful. I mean, I'm just so blessed because this is my job. This is what I get paid to do, is go out and love these horses and ride them and exercise them and, shovel it in one end and out the other. And, we just have a lot of... I do a lot of shoveling.
That's funny.
I'm in the chat rooms. I'm like, hold on, I'm going for a little while. I got to go and shovel shit now for a little while.
And you actually mean it.
I really mean
it. Wow.
Yeah, most people, I think it's like it's just a representation. But no, I really go and shovel shit every night and every morning. But you know what? It's fun.
Look,
it's really fun.
You know what's fun about animals is the unconditional nature of the relationship. I mean, the only shit in your relationship with the horses is the stuff you have to shovel every night.
And it's much better than all the other crap we have to deal with
people and their complications.
And people, yeah. Oh dear, I've got to tell you one more story.
Yeah, once the trust and the connection is formed.
Right. Yeah. And listen, I've got to tell you a really cool story about trust, right? This same horse, Chippy, I call him Chippy, and he came with a rigmarole of names, and none of them suited him. And one day, I'm like, you're always Chipper, aren't you? And he's sort of like big grin on his face. And then the next thing he's like, every time I give him a carrot, they kind of come out in chips, and he's always chipping carrots, and his mouth sort of goes like the wood chipper as you feed the carrot, and he's going chomp, 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 and his chips come out. So I decided he had to be called Chip, and it turned into Chippy, with 2 P's and 2 E's. So, and he's a giant horse, and I'm kind of quite little. I look a bit like a pea on an elephant, but it's just so much fun when we get together. So anyway, I ride him, quite often. During the winter, it's kind of cold here, and I get to the point that it's really just no fun for anybody to go out riding. So we have this big indoor arena, and I let him run loose in there, and they all do, and they hop and skip and play and jump and whatever. So it got to the point it was spring, and I thought, well, I better ride them again now. So I go to put the bridle on him, and I'm going to ride him in the indoor ring the first time. I thought, I'll just do that. So I go to put the bridle on him, and he's like, no. And the bridle means putting a bit in the mouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he says no. And I said, please, Chippy. And he always was a little bit tricky. And I always felt that he's sort of just saying, listen, I'm only doing this because, I say I will, not because, I have to, you can't make me. But he always lets me. But this day he was like, no. And I'm like, oh, go on, Chippy, please. He's like, no. So I'm like, fine. So I go into the tack room and I get the Hackamore, which is a bitless bridle. Just goes around the nose. You can still kind of pull on the nose, but it's not a bit. So I go and I ride him in the ring, and that's grand. So the next day I get the bridle out again. I'm going to go and ride him outside. And he says, no. I'm like, oh, please, Chippy, I can't ride you outside without the bridle. I can't. And he's like, no. And I said, please. So eventually he says, okay. So this went on for about 3 days. Meanwhile, I'm hearing him say, if you can't trust your best friend, who can you trust? I'm like, well, yeah, but, right?
I got to do it my way. This is the way it's supposed to be.
He's like, if you can't, I'm like, but I have to have the bridle on. I can't ride you outside with the bridle. I can't control you. There's lessons. So anyway, eventually, I'm hearing him say, well, did you pull on the reins the last 3 days? And I'm like, no. And he's like, So I'm like, okay. So I put the Hackamore on and we go out riding. And he's like, we're okay, aren't we? I'm like, yes. And it was totally about trust. Mm-hmm. And I don't bother to put the bit in his mouth anymore. I don't need it because I don't even touch his mouth. I don't even touch his nose. I don't touch anything. I just sit there and say, okay, what do you want to do? And then there's the next lesson, because we have been taught, everybody who learns to ride horses, you've got to have full control of this horse. It's a big animal. You've got to control it. I have let go of control. I don't have to control anybody anymore, let alone even myself, because I realise I don't have to control him. I just trust him. I say, listen, Chippy, what do you want to do? I say, let's walk and trot here. What about that? And he's like, oh, yeah, all right. And he goes galomping off, as I say. And I'm like, oh, maybe we ought to stop here. I don't pull on the reins. I just suggest it with my mind. And he's like, yeah, all right. I don't have to control him. I don't have to control him.
That's very similar. It sounds very similar to what Lisa was talking about with her relationships.
Yes.
No, I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Once you've got trust, it's like, wow. And you don't have to control. And I was controlled. I allowed myself to be controlled. Then I've gone along. I've tried not to control other people, but I've seen sort of little kind of moments of like trying to control somebody. I'm like, I don't want to do that. And this was like complete sort of confirmation. If I don't need to control a giant horse, I mean, he's like 1,500 pounds. And, he's a big horse, a big animal. I don't have to control him. I don't need to. I just talk to him. I say, listen, what should we do today? And we have an agreement. I'm not the boss anymore. We work in cooperation. That's where we're trying to go with humanity, right? We want to just cooperate.
That's what's going on right now. We are coming into coherence with each other.
Yes.
And the more that we come from that place of love for ourselves, because you can't have it for someone else unless you have it for yourself. It just doesn't work that way. You can't create something outside of yourself that you don't have within yourself. And, that's what's going on right now. It's a coherence that's going on with everybody, and it's beautiful, and it's incredible how fast it's moving.
Oh,
Jerry, I really want to thank you for sharing this, because you're actually adding a great deal of depth and insight to my own understanding of what I really thank you so much.
Well, and thank you, because you just, all the stuff you guys do, but that particular interview, I just listened to it, and it just resonated so much, and just this horse. And one of the friends on the chat room, she said they just tuned into him, and she started to describe him. I'm like, yeah, is he, reddish brown with white bits on his face? Yes. And she started talking about him like she knew him, and he obviously went to visit her. It was like hilarious. This animal, I mean, I don't know. This is something. I don't know whether we've been in a past life together. She said yes. I don't know. I have just such this connection. You remember the video, the movie of Avatar, the connection those people had with their animals and birds.
I see you.
Yeah.
That's what I
love it.
I have exactly that. I
get
on it, and the feeling is just we're just one when we're together. It's hilarious. And so the love is huge, and I've just learned so much, and I continue to. I love
Jerry, you're fading out, hon.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm on a cell, so it's a wonder I've kept going this long. So
Thank you so much. What a wonderful, wonderful dialogue with this, and I think it was really beautiful. I love the connection with what Lisa was saying, too. It was just really powerful.
Yeah. And thank you all so much for everything you do. I'm just so happy to, be in connection, and I'm here to do anything I can to help. I'm here, anything I can do. I'm in it. I'm on it. I'm all in.
Love it. Thank you, sweetie. Love
Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah. Lisa,
thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Brian. Give him my best.
Okay, we have.
Okay, Judy. Just before we go on, I just wanted to make one observation. Brad and I were at a meeting on Tuesday night, One People's meeting down here in Melbourne, and there was about somewhere between 30 and 40 people there. And at one point, I was just sort of standing, observing for a few moments, just the wonderful feeling in the room. And I'm getting that same kind of feeling here now, and realizing that although this show might just look like a bit of a chat show, and it's fun and it's a bit of a release, I think it's the most important show that we're doing at the moment, to be honest, because this is where you really connect this stuff together and make it work for you as a life, is right here at this personal level where we just look at the really, really simple things. Are we happy? And why are we happy? And if we're not, why aren't we?
Well, look at how it came about. I mean, it was so incredibly just intuitive. I mean, there was nothing that forced any of this.
Yes. I think these things that are developing, and all of the spin-off activities from them. The websites are an example of it. The IUV website is just full of the same kind of feeling.
And we're trusting what we're feeling inside. We get these feelings like Lisa said, talk to me, we'll make a show, and Brian's like, hey, I'll be your co-host, and I'm like, what, really? But then it also felt, just like it was right.
Timing was right, was it not?
Everything, it's just, and we trusted that. We're all trusting. And because of that, what beauty is coming out of all of this?
Yeah, it's following the flow, following your nose through this process.
Yeah.
You kind of know, like Jerry's moved, through a sort of a probably just as long a process as the rest of us, to reach a point where she connected with the people who are surrounding this movement and all of the people who are observing it, and it's so much like family, and that's probably what I was feeling in the room the other night. It felt like family, and that's the resonance she's talking about.
Yeah.
People were attracted to the OPPT filings like a magnet, because they resonate with it. They reach resonance with it, and now they're finding each other.
Yeah. I mean, I had never resonated with anything like that before, and I didn't give it a chance the very first time. But after, the second time, and I kept getting this nudging that said, come on, just give it a chance. And as I did, as I was listening, it was like the clicking. It was like, yes. Oh, my God, yes, yes. Oh, yes. It was kind of, I want what she has.
Well, to give you a heads up, that satisfaction, the Declaration of Satisfaction, the one that was basically putting an end to the experiment, that had me, as Chris knows, because I was on the phone to him at the time when I was reading it, absolutely in tears. And I had a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual response to that filing. What Dee let slip to me the other day was, she said, that response you had to the Declaration of Satisfaction? I said, yeah. She said, you wait for this one.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
So my expectations are rather high right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. She set a high bar right there.
That's so exciting, though. But you know what? I don't doubt any of this now. I just don't doubt any of it because I'm seeing it physically happening around me. I'm seeing people waking up. I'm seeing, everywhere I look, everything is a reflection from inside of you. And we're becoming so clear within who we are now. And we're coming together and lending our energies together, which, gather more, one or more in my name kind of thing. You get exponential energy, and that's what's happening. And this is just phenomenal. And I thank you all so much, all of you, everybody out there.
Yeah, here.
Yeah. So we've got
Absolutely.
one more caller. We've got about 19, almost 20 minutes left. Are you ready for one more?
Yeah.
All right, let's
I'm ready.
go with it. Let's do area code 902. Area code 902.
Hey, guys.
Hi, who's this?
It's Matthew. I'm from Nova Scotia, Canada.
Oh, yay. Hi, Matthew. Welcome from Nova Scotia, Canada.
Hi, Matthew.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I love your voice.
Thank you. No, I'm really enjoying this show. This is the first time I've tuned in. But, I mean, I can't even handle the joy. I feel like my hands are shaking a bit.
Love it.
I just wanted to touch on, you guys were talking about contrast, and I thought I'd share one of my experiences that I thought could share some insight. So I just turned 20. I was 19, and I was at school studying media and information. And I was having this massive awakening during my curriculum studying the mass media. So I would be I would be in class. I would be in class with my professor, just speaking about, capitalism isn't all that bad and it can work, guys. And then going home and like watching Lisa Harrison and Lisa Renee about the starseed community and mind control, and I was just it was like this major contrast. But I mean, at first I felt very confused, of course, but also I feel like with this, this time right now where the illusion is so clear, and it's just like the only thing that holds you back from making that decision, whether to, stand in your truth and do what you know is right, is like, asking yourself, what would I do if I loved myself? And, I was hosting a talk show and I was doing a fashion show, and I was all in this, media thing at university, have everything going for me. And, it was so clear at that moment that I needed to walk and follow my heart and take everything I knew, but take it to what would make a real difference on a heart impact level. And just seeing that contrast, where my professor, you could tell that he wanted to say, like what I'm saying right now, he wanted to tell the kids that, what he was speaking about, this wasn't the whole story. And, and I saw him playing the role up there and having such a hard time with it. And, I think the more of us that just, look at the things that we swept under the rug and look at those fears and just literally turn and just jump and do what is exactly right, then other people will follow, and that's how the change will happen, just like that. And it just takes one person to be like, you know what, something doesn't seem so right, and let's do what resonates with the heart, and that's it. And then it's over, just like that.
Big love that you are.
And how old did you say you are? 20, 22?
20?
I'm 20, yeah.
20.
Matt,
wow.
Bless your beautiful soul.
Bless your cotton socks, as they say.
What did you say, Lisa? I missed that.
Bless your cotton socks. That's something my grandmother would have said.
I like it.
But this is so great because, I don't have anyone my age to talk to about this stuff because they're just like, everyone's on their iPhones.
Matthew, and we know that. We know you don't. I was just sitting here thinking, you are the contrast with them.
But you know what, guys? I have friends on my Facebook page and people that I know that are in that age range, and they get it. They get it. They are out there. Just don't be afraid to start bringing things up because they're just waiting for somebody else to say something. And I'm telling you, this is true. I know many people in your age range. They're friends of mine. They're no different than friends of mine that are my own age. And I've got kids who are 10 years and more older than you, or one. And these people are just waiting. They're just waiting for somebody to speak up. I never hold my light down. Never, never, never. I speak my truth all the time, and I have conversation with preachers. Oh, my goodness. And we have the greatest conversations, even though they look at me like, oh, you're going to go to hell. And it's like, it's okay if you think that. But, I know that you like me, and I know that you know what I'm talking about resonates somehow.
I
love.
I had a really
I
good
just
one.
love this. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Matt.
Sorry. Yeah.
I love the blurring of the roles and the ages and all of these, social categorizations that we put ourselves in or that we've been put in, and then, those just fall by the wayside when you resonate on a heart level with someone. It's just like, that's it. Like, I see you, you see me, there's the connection, and that speaks for itself every time.
Yeah, absolutely. You just really have to, be the you that you truly are, and you have to honor that, because when you honor that, others will come into coherence with you. It's like, I don't know if you listen to Bashar, but Bashar he talks about moving through, 40, 70 billion freeze frames of reality per second, and you steer yourself through this, and the things that you can let go of, the further ahead you can move. And the thing is that the people, when you move forward into that, the people that meet you in that space have some sort of resonance with you. It's not like they're back there. This is the hardest thing for a lot of people to get, and once you get that, you realize that no matter where you are, the people that are around you are meant to be there, and they're meant to be in that coherent energy that you are.
Matthew, are we friends on Facebook?
I don't think so, but I'd love to be.
Can you send me a Facebook friend request?
Yeah, I definitely will.
And Scott, you were trying to jump in a minute ago, I think.
Yeah, I was sharing. Just had an interesting little thought that popped up from when I was in at the bottle shop probably a couple of months ago now, and I said to the girl at the checkout when she said, "Do you want a tax receipt?" I'm like, "No, don't pay tax." And she smiled, and so she obviously was like, "Yeah, okay, I know." So yeah, I think there's a lot of folk who actually do know, and it's just broaching that little social sort of we don't speak about that, and just go out.
Well,
and do
how
it.
many times you've been in a situation with a group where one person is speaking, and you can tell the rest of the group don't agree, but no one says anything, and then it just takes that one person to pipe up and go, "Yeah, you know what? I don't think that's right." And then suddenly the whole group just start talking and go, yeah, man, that's not right. It just takes
crap. Yeah.
Well, that happened with that. I don't know if you all saw the video of these students that were being interviewed or interviewing. I guess they were kind of being interviewed by the NSA. And this one girl who spoke up initially was talking. She was asking questions, and they were hard, fast, and very truthful questions. And then other people started. And those poor NSA people, I know they left there with their tails between their legs because they couldn't be real with them, with these people, with these students, because they knew that what they were doing was not in the best interest of all that is. And everything that we do right now has to be in the best interest of all that is. Has to.
It
or
won't
it will
work.
fall.
In fact, it will. It just doesn't
work if it's not.
That's right.
It falls flat. Yeah.
It does.
You end up either looking like a complete liar or one of the Three Stooges.
Yeah. Well,
It just doesn't
nothing.
work.
The energies will not allow this anymore, and that is why I'm so absolutely sure this whole thing is coming along, because I'm seeing it everywhere. It's just phenomenal.
And just touching on what you said, Lisa, about the conversation with others. Yeah, I think it only really takes one voice of even neutrality and just a breath of life into the conversation when everyone seems to be speaking in code or just in social convention, because deep down everyone's a little scared to speak from their heart, and I think it really just takes one person to speak from theirs, and it's just like chain reaction, and then everyone's like, oh, okay, it's okay to be a little vulnerable here, and that's when change, magic, connections, all of that stuff seems to happen that way, or for me at least.
Absolutely. You're right.
What you're saying is taking me back to the Celestine Prophecy books. The whole concept of just naming it. when you name someone's behavior or when you name the situation, and it completely takes the power out of it, and it makes it, exposes it, makes it vulnerable, and at that point, everybody's in a position where they can speak from their heart. And it just takes one person to name it first.
Absolutely.
You know, when someone's coming at you aggressively, one of the most favorite things for me to do, if they're in a situation where they're coming aggressively and they want you to bite back, is to just name it. So why are you so aggressive? I'm not aggressive. I'm really? Seriously? I mean, you look really aggressive like that. So let's look at that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I don't want to look at that. I want to know. And the more you name it, the more it deflates the situation. So.
Yeah, look, heart neutral is something that I'm becoming very conscious is almost a miraculous way to resolve conflict. You know, if you speak from neutrality from the heart, and that's what you're doing when you name it. Why are you being so aggressive?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like, why are you being so aggressive? It's, why are you being so aggressive?
You're gently putting a mirror up.
Exactly. So they can see themselves without feeling like they're being judged.
Well, let me tell you, I've been through it myself so many times where the mirror has been put up to me in times when I wasn't there. And, you know, and it took a while for me, and mostly it wasn't even words. It was just silence in the mirror. And it was like one of those things where I would walk away, and for, you know, however long it took, it got me to switch things, the little switches in my head around and go, really, I was that. I totally did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
but
for
me. But I think you'll find that if you just... sorry, Matt, I was just going to say that...
No, go ahead.
Start speaking up, and you'll find people they'll come to you, basically. Build it and they will come, darling.
Yeah.
They do. I do it every day. I do it all the time, and it's beautiful. It really is. It's a beautiful thing. I don't have negative relationships with anybody anymore because they can't be in my presence. I just don't invite anything that isn't pure, you know, truth or whatever. It's just I'm here to be. That's all. That is a neutrality.
It is. In fact, that's a very neutral position because it doesn't actually. You're not positioning yourself relative to anything but yourself.
Right.
Okay, that's part of losing attachments, is not judging yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a house, therefore, you know, I'm crud. Well, that's just a judgment you made on yourself. You don't have a house. Who cares? Was it important to you? Well, no. Well, then what's the problem?
Right.
So, I just want to ask Matthew. Matthew, are you finding? I mean, despite the bombardment of social media and substance abuse amongst that's sort of reigning around most young people these days, are you finding that they're starting to get easier to talk to, that they're starting to open up a bit to other opinions, other perspectives?
What I found when I was going through the bulk of this at university, at school, I found that my friends, they were either, half of them are completely anonymous and totally in the just lost in the matrix and not really, you just can't really tap into them. But then others, I'd see glimpses of they're kind of an inner child life within them saying, what are you trying to tell me? Just kind of underneath the radar, they feeling like it wasn't enough because exactly everyone is just going to university. Everyone just wants to get a job, but literally 90% of the time, everyone is out partying and drinking and have no really idea of what they're working towards, and it's just all of this image and everyone's so sad. That's the thing. Everyone that I was going to school with, you could tell that no one was happy. Everyone's in their prime of their lives, like 20 years old, and everyone was just trying to get by, trying to get this paper in and not even learning anything or feeling a passion about what they're doing. And that's what I was experiencing. But there is a glimpse there, and everyone has so many talents and abilities that are just waiting to just, get their hands into something real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's totally going to happen, and I do see it every day more and more. people my age, just kind of reaching out for new information. I think that's a big one.
Right.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a very good thing, because once they find it, they will probably, like you obviously did it quite a long time ago. In fact, pretty much, just a direct question, how many years ago, from your lofty age of 20, how many years in the past was the point where you felt you actually woke up to the fact that something was wrong and you were being misguided by your teachers, etc.?
Okay, I guess I was, the bulk of it. Okay, let's say. Okay, so last summer I picked up Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. I'm sure you guys have read Eckhart Tolle or know about that. And the first phase of it, I was actually out on my deck, and I was reading the book, and I looked across my yard at a tree, and I had this strange shift in my awareness that I realized for the first time that what was in the tree was in me. That was my first connection to the oneness. But back at school, so this was only about 4 or 5 months ago, in March, on my birthday, it was more of just like a bam, heart boost open, complete shift in perspective. And since then, it's been every single day down the rabbit hole. Just kind of like, on this search for truth, like every second of every day, it's just wanting to be of service. And it just came down to, it was that 180 degrees,
Wow. And that's, so you're talking really just months, not years.
Oh yeah, it's been extremely rapid.
Wow. That doesn't surprise me, actually. And the wanting to be of service to me is key. It's what Lisa was saying, in a couple of our first show, and that's how I feel. And I know that's how you feel, Chris. And the people who are really waking up, it really comes down to, I just want to be of service.
Yes.
Because and being of service also is just it's your mutual highest expression anyway. So it just kind of goes hand in hand.
You're right.
Yeah.
You got it.
See, I find it very hard to differentiate between joy and gratitude. When I'm feeling really joyous, I am in a state of gratitude. They're one and the same thing to me. And that leads directly to, just wanting to serve, to be part of this community, and to actually move it in a direction where everybody can feel and live that way.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on with everybody right now. And what's beautiful to me is that people are coming to this understanding very organically. There's no box that's leading them into anything. This is an absolute energetic, spiritual. Well, there is nothing outside of the one. But it's an energetic awakening, and this is just incredible what we're going through right now, people.
This is nuts.
But in such a good, fun way.
It is. It's incredible.
In a good way, exactly.
It's wonderful.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just incredible what we're all going through, and meeting other people everywhere we go, and meeting each other. Thank you so much, Lisa, for having this venue. I know it's like, you found yourself here, and you followed.
It's a classic example of build it and they will come.
Yeah.
I started off with one radio show and realized that we had the ability here to create a community and a platform for lots of different discussions. And that's what happened. And I don't think of anybody who tunes into these shows as the listening audience or any of that stuff. They are the community. They are the 5D community, and everyone's family. And I love hearing all of the different connections that have been made as people start talking in the chat room, and then they meet up on Facebook, and some of them meet in person, and we've had romances start, and whole families come together, and it's just awesome. I love it.
Me
so
too.
Thanks to each and every one of you.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you guys for taking my call.
Thank you,
for
Matthew.
taking my
and
call,
please
guys.
friend me on Facebook.
Yeah, love you, Matthew. Thank you so much. And I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank Brian for being here, and thank you. We all send you so much love. Chris Hales, Scott and Ken Bartle, Brad Smith, and Lisa, thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate the extra estrogen. Not that we needed it. It was just beautiful, and I needed. I'm so happy we're here. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this whole. We are doing amazing things.